let's talk briefly about our teams. I'm going to start with the New England Patriots. I know that Ray, you have yet to record, but if you're listening to this, you will likely have access to an episode of MTP Boston where you talk wonderfully. I'm sure it hasn't happened yet in our time, but I'm sure you wax lyrical about the New England Patriots for a good chunk of ethereal time. But just briefly, I'd love to get Bobby's thoughts on it because we didn't have him on last week. Bobby, you told me I was crazy to say the Pats might not get a top 3 pick, and last week we talked about who they might potentially draft with their seemingly now inevitable top three picks. So you seem to be correct. I have to give you the win on that one. I thought they looked frisky. I was hoping they would look frisky. Probably a little bit of content bias there. I thought it was going to make the show more interesting, but generally they suck. A more broad question for you, Bob. Going into the New England Patriots offseason, what do you do? Are you like these guys? Are you just out on that whole coaching staff? Is it become borderline intolerable for you at this point? What do you do? What happens?
So
what's
depends on what
to do.
I think we're going to learn a lot about what Kraft is like as an owner coming into the season because he's been so blessed with this winning, franchise that he hasn't had to make a type of decision like he's going to have to make this offseason. Is he the type of guy who can actually bite the bullet when he has to and fire the coach when it's pretty glaringly obvious that you probably should? Or is he the type of guy that's going to have to, or is he going to be the guy that won't admit to his mistake and keep a coach on just for the sake of keeping him on? Which you're saying it's the latter?
Based on all the New England Patriots fans in our lives and the way that they seem to know the man intimately, it seems that everyone's telling me that no, he's going to stick with Mayo. And they're going to have to sit through a whole another season of this. But Ray, I mean, what do you think? Oh God, poor guy.
Yeah, like I said, we'll touch on it more on the Boston side, but I have to take a deep side because there's so much that can be said and will be said. But on the surface, it is really, really, it's really bad down there. Everyone, it's really bad. Yes, you have found some pieces in Drake May and Christian Gonzalez. Your tight ends have been excellent. Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper have been great. The wide receiver core has been below average, is putting it lightly. And like I said, we'll tap into that more, but they've been just straight, just straight trash. And then the defense, which has been a calling card for the longest time, has been subpar as well. So there's a lot of things that need to be fixed, a lot of things that need to be addressed in the offseason. It looks like they're going to get a top 3 or even top 5 pick. To me, I know a lot of people are clamoring for Travis Hunter. To me, he's not the biggest need, and I know he's a phenomenal player. Congrats on him getting the
it's that Heisman bump, right? Yeah,
no one say he deserved it, but I mean, we've seen in the past, like not, he's obviously going to the first round, but not every Heisman winner
he's going to be a top 5 pick. He's
the first round. We've seen that before.
He's unreal.
I said the Pats should go for him last week when we talked about potentially who they need. I know it's the flashy pick. You probably need an offensive line.
And it's like they and we talked about. I was like, you got your Jaylen Brown, now you need your Jason Taylor. That's what we talked about last week.
Yeah,
and it's just like I don't know if Hunter is that. Once again, he could very well be.
It depends where you see him as, right? I mean, his value in the draft is going to be determined by team needs and what these teams see him as. Do they see him as a two-way player? Because I got to tell you, I doubt it. I really doubt it.
It's asking a lot.
In the 2024 NFL, I doubt it.
Yeah, because I'm like, you can't. Yeah, it is. I don't need another gadget player. Like, and once again, it's no shade to his game, but he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be a great player. But we don't need another gadget player. So if you go get Kelvin Banks from Texas, or you get Will Campbell as a guard, we talked about ad nauseum.
I think Will Campbell is the smart money. I think if he's fallen to either of our teams,
Banks has the tackle. Banks has the tackle because if they're projecting Will Campbell to be the guard, which they got a window at the guard.
Possibly tackle though. I think.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
Too.
I'm saying
So that's high value.
For New England's team, they needed that. Like we most definitely need a tackle. There is no like, oh, let's get a hybrid. No, you need a left tackle that's going to protect Drake May's blind side for years to come. Like that is a given. So now unless now they address that in free agency and they get they beef up that line.
That's I think the moves. To me, drafting offensive line, take it from a guy who's like watched his GM try to draft offensive line over the last few years. It takes a while to get good at that, all those positions, center and left tackle specifically, right? So if your center is like 27 or younger, like look at Bobby. What's the center for the Cowboys, Bobby? The young guy, the blonde guy. What's his name? You're blanking too. Oh, have we lost Bobby?
Well, I mean, but okay, but for instance, look at the Cowboys line.
But if you're under 25, as a center, right?
No, yeah.
That's tough. If you're under 25 as a left tackle, that's tough. It's a tough position to learn. We put a rookie in it at left tackle. The Bears did against the Vikings. It looked absolutely abysmal, right?
But
so, I just go to the free agency. I implore you to go to the free agency for guys that are proven.
But this is to add more salt to the wound. Jonah Williams was someone that the Patriots apparently was going after. Jonah Williams recovers a fumble and scores a touchdown against New England on Sunday. And I'm like, oh, like, and he had a pretty good game, blocking as well. But I'm like, wow, like he comes in there, he now ties some of your wide receivers with one touchdown. He blocks pretty well, but because Chukwuezefuor was more was a cheaper option, you chose to go with him. So it once again, it speaks to where Robert Kraft is mentally. It speaks to just ownership in Boston overall. Like I said, we'll get into it on the other show, but it's amazing to me where they have just dropped the ball in that regard. So once again, be aggressive in free agency. Once again, if you beef up the line good enough, then go get Travis Hunter at 3, if that's the case. Absolutely. If you beef up the line and you get a T. Higgins, whatever, absolutely you take Hunter at 3 for sure. But that's only if you get some home runs in free agency, then you do that. But if not, you got to go with the safer route. You got to go with the tackle. You got to. Because you have to
Cooper Beebe.
The ball, so.
Cooper Beebe is who I was thinking of, the center for the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, he's a great example of, he's a rookie. He's really good, right? But it's tough to put the whole responsibility of the offensive line on a rookie. You know what I mean? It's a very difficult thing to do. I think it's a tough position to play. A lot of times you see guards rotate in there and excel in their 4th, 5th, 6th year. It's hard. You got to build a whole offensive line in New England. You can sprinkle in a couple young dudes, but
it's sad. And once again, I want to get off this after it's depressing to keep speaking about it. But for the last whatever years, regardless who was in power and coaching, whatever, even from the Bill Parcells era, right? Not even Bill, it was Pete Carroll drafted Damian Woody. They had a guy named Bruce Armstrong that was left tackle for years. Then you transition to Matt Light, Joe Andruzzi, Dan Connolly, Mike Compton, Stephen Neal. So the fact that I can name these guys lets me know, like you don't tell me they got to figure that out. You have to get 5 guys that can block. What's it? The Nate Soldiers. Like you have to find that.
It's the most. It's the best thing about listening to Tom Brady's commentary on Fox, which is painful at times, but he is getting a little bit better. And the best thing he talks about is the offensive line. The way he breaks down the offensive line makes a ton of sense, because he talks about his offensive line like they were his best friends on the team. Like he really like leaned into that whole attitude of just like, these are my dudes. These are the guys keeping me alive. He wasn't yelling at his O-lineman. You could see him yelling at skill guys. You could see him yelling at coaches. Like he would, by that last season in Tampa, he was screaming at just about fucking everybody except for his offensive line, right? That just wasn't something you ever caught Tom Brady doing. And if you want Drake May and you, I think on paper can look at him and say, that's our guy, don't commit a Cincinnati Bengals on that poor son of a bitch. Don't make him that dude. Go and get him some protection. Let him shine behind some protection. And you got to spend money to do that. So I mean, to Bobby's point about we'll see what kind of an owner Robert Kraft is. Yeah, I think you need to drop dough on the offensive line this offseason. I think that's what you need to do.
Absolutely, but we'll see.
We'll see. On that note, let's move on to what kind of an owner is the Dallas Cowboys owner. Oh, we already know the answer to that. He's a huge piece of shit. Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. Bobby, haven't really gotten your thoughts on these guys in a few weeks. Not super fun to watch, I'm sure. You're languishing in the post-Dak injury era. Although I don't think your quarterback play has been all that terrible, to be totally honest with you. Kind of like, why'd you give Dak all that money? Not that terrible, to be totally honest. So where are you with the Dallas Cowboys? And again, same question. What does your ideal offseason look like? Is there room to move this ship?
The ideal offseason is firing Mike McCarthy. That's the ideal offseason. That's what needs to be done. If that's not the move, then I don't know what is. I've been seeing a lot of talk saying that he might actually lose his job past couple of weeks with this Cooper but that can't happen. Can't have another season of Mike McCarthy trying to lead Dak Prescott championship because it's not in the cards for these Cowboys. So that's the move that needs to happen. Is Mike McCarthy needs to go. To be honest, it's been an ugly couple of weeks of football. I honestly don't have much to say about them except that they need to fire Mike McCarthy. That's the number one thing on my mind right now with this team. That's really what it comes down to is Mike McCarthy needs to go.
I hear you, buddy. I hear you. I think you sound exactly like I did at the end of the Eberflus era. I was like, I can't even think about anything else until this guy gets the fuck out of my town. It's true though. I mean, it's incredible that they didn't address their running back issues in the offseason. I do think that some emerging talent has happened across your skill positions. That's helped. I do think you have a good O-line and a good base to build. We'll see what happens with Dak. GT, how do you say his name? I would be marking him high on your list in the draft if I were you. That dude looks like for real. I think he's going to go top 15 as a running back, which I think is saying something. And if you guys have the 11th, 12th pick, I would burn one on him in a second. I know it seems high for a running back, but look at Jahmyr Gibbs. It's worth it if a guy's that good.
They took Zeke Jerry, and he was good for a while.
A little bit of a different era, though. No, I mean a little bit more reasonable back then to take a running back super high. Like not still like they weren't quite as a dime a dozen as they are now, right? Where you can go and sort of build one from the parts, the wrecked parts of the running back scrapyard. And when the Chiefs are calling up guys that should have been retired for the past 5 years in the middle of the season to come in and they're putting up pretty decent running back numbers. Like that's not good for the whole of running backs to get drafted high and get paid well, right? So I think Jerry Jones would do it, to your point, and I think that it's the right thing to do because that kid looks absolutely fucking phenomenal. Ray, I think you said something similar about what the Cowboys should do last week. Oh, depressingly, that brings us on to the Bears. Someone needs to take those fuckers out behind the woodshed. Just the memes of Caleb Williams like lying prostrate on the ground, just having just gotten absolutely fucked up. He's the most sacked rookie. He's the most sacked player in the NFL this season, and he's zeroing in on the most sacked player of all time record. That's really what he's looking for this offseason. And I'm running out of people to blame here, and I get that. I didn't want just the OC fired, for the record, but whatever. I'm running out of people to blame. I'm not blaming Caleb Williams. I think the most sacked fucking guy is on the GM, dude. Like you were an offensive lineman, and you went out there and you put this group together. And there's quotes emerging this week. Oh, I think this is the deepest we've ever had as far as like an offensive line goes. Like I'm so excited. All this different stuff, and it's just like you can't build an offensive lineman. So you've given us a number 1 overall pick who looks pretty good. He looks like he might be the dude. And you're getting him sacked more than anybody else. So, like, I wouldn't blame him if he has the yips. I mean, I don't know. Am I delusional? Am I being a delusional Bears fan right now? Or should we fire the GM also in the offseason?
I mean, I'm all for. I mean, once again, I'm very vulnerable right now, so look, I want. And once again, you'll hear it soon, but I want everyone out of there. So I'm all for is we got the coach out of there, cool. The GM, you don't get away either. It's like you can't get absolved in this completely. So yeah, it's time for Ryan Poles to go too, and just start a whole
Because it's
new.
going to be a lame duck at this point, right?
Right, exactly. Get him out of there and align someone that can get back to the muscles of the midway. Because it's been a long time since that moniker has been, thrown upon them. And the days of the Landsbergers and the Brian Urlachers and the Mike Browns was my guy. Tina Tillman, R.W. McCorders. Like I remember, so it's just like we got to get back. Hey, we got to get back to those. So I'm hey, Bears fans, I'm fired up, baby. I'm fired up for you. Like we got. Because it's
RW McCorders. Oh my god!
It's once again, you always can count on a casual name drop here on MTP. But yeah, it's just like I
love that from you.
You got to get back to that brand of football, because right now the identity is not there right now. So get back to smash mouth football, get back to playing great defense, and just smacking people around like that. That's where you got to go. So if the people that's there right now cannot build upon that, then they need to go and have someone that is going to have that mindset and put them in the right direction.
Absolutely. I think his name is Mike Vrabel. The more weeks that pass, like the more I just think that that's the guy that's leading the Bears back to the promised land. He's going to understand how to do it. Here's another Bears drop from that era. Not saying this guy should be a coach, but Desmond Clark. I was just thinking about him the other day. Remember him? 88, big guy, big tight end.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Yeah, I liked him. That was, I mean, that
hey man,
that was, I mean, that's the thing. They were big, hard hitting, mean motherfuckers back then. Like that's what that team looked like. And now it seems like we've built this sort of speed and agility team that there's 6 captains out there, but not a leader in sight. And it's just really upsetting. And if you go out there and you get another nice guy as a head coach, I think you're fucked. I really think you're screwed. This team really needs somebody to coach them. Mm-hmm. I think that there's a lot of talent on the roster, and I think that leaders might emerge. Mm-hmm. You need a Mike Vrabel. I think as the weeks go on, I'm starting to see that he's the only choice. I know the Ben Johnson heads are screaming right now. I know that they're screaming. He's in our division, guys. Like, we need to have some self-respect as Bears fans. And I'm sorry to say this, but we need to have some self-respect as Bears fans and not be crying out for the Lions offensive coordinator to come in and save our souls. Okay. What we need to do is we need to reach out to an organization that built up a great football mind, like a New England Patriot, Mike Vrabel, to come and save our souls through a culture change, right? Because bringing in a Ben Johnson it's not even a good fit for him, I don't think. I think he needs to go to a place as a head coach where he can build something from the ground up, and be given the keys to the car, because he's inheriting a team that isn't his, and they're not. There's room to grow. There's more signings to be made, but the pieces are already really in place. The major pieces are already really in place, and he's going to have to deal with it. I think if Vrabel comes in and makes that defense play the way that they deserve to be playing, and coach them the way they deserve to be coached. What do you guys think?
Yep, Vrabel's definitely the choice. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. If there's ever a coach that's been destined to be the Chicago Bears head coach,
unless the Shanahan thing that you said, I would take that too.
If there's anyone that's built to be the Chicago Bears head coach, though, it's Vrabel. I can just see it already. I could see him wearing like a Bill sweater vest. You know what I mean, with the Bears logo on it. I could just see it. So it's definitely Vrabel to the Bears.
I hear you, man. I hear you. I can see it too. I'm imagining it already in my head. That's precisely probably why it won't happen. Because it's just it's too perfect. It's too good of an idea, Ray, as you're wont to say sometimes.
Yeah. Yep. But like I said, we'll see. But once again, we will see how all of our owners and Bears front office in general move this offseason. It's a very, very important offseason. and if they don't get it right, it's going to
For all
be
three of our
a
teams,
problem
too.
for years
All
to
three
come,
of our teams
unfortunately.
have
So,
very important
you know,
offseasons coming
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
mhm. So, yep.